Hello, very good afternoon from me, Kevin Owen. It's just turned 2 p.m. now here in Moscow at the RT News Centre this Monday afternoon. The top story, 2 Turkish members of parliament claim deadly sarin gas was delivered from Turkish territory to Islamic State fighters in Syria back in 2013. They say officials knew about the deliveries, but the case was closed. The opposition MPs say they have evidence, too, to back up the allegation, and they presented it in parliament.
A prosecutor said that some people in Turkey have contacts with the terrorist organisation ISIL, supply and transport the key ingredient of sarin.
We spoke exclusively to the MP.
Chemical weapon materials were brought to Turkey and put together in ISIL camps in Syria, which was known as the Iraqi Al-Qaeda at the time. We have recordings to confirm this. A public prosecutor opened an investigation which led to those involved being detained. A week later, another public prosecutor was assigned and all the detainees were released. They left Turkey, crossing the Syrian border. The phone recordings in the indictment showed all the details of how the shipment was going to be made, from how it was prepared, to the content, the labs and the source of the materials, which trucks were going to be used, all dates, etc. From A to Z, everything was discussed and recorded. Despite all of this evidence, the suspects were released.
The incident Eren Erdem recounted took place, as we said, back in 2013. In August that year, rockets filled with sarin struck a Damascus suburb. Turkey blamed the Syrian government at the time for the attack.
جراء استهداف النظام.
Well, as we continued speaking to Eren Erdem, he thinks the two incidents are indeed linked.
There's a high probability that it was carried out with materials shipped through Turkey. It was claimed regime forces were behind it, but in my opinion, examining the dates and the indictment, the Syrian government didn't have sarin gas. It was the attackers who possessed it. As far as I understand, this case was closed, just to place guilt on the Syrian government. The shipment is through Turkey, but all basic materials were purchased in Europe. Western sources know very well who carried out the sarin gas attack in Syria. They know that these people are working for Al-Qaeda. The West has been hypocritical over the whole situation.
Well, on their side of it, the Turkish authorities deny the allegations. We also contacted the Turkish prosecutor's office for comment, but haven't received an answer. Eren Erdem refused to show us the documents and phone records over fears it would violate state secrets and therefore be considered treason. His concerns, it seems, though, aren't without grounds. Recently, 2 Turkish journalists were arrested after breaking the story of Ankara reportedly smuggling weapons into Syria. They're now facing up to 45 years in prison because of it.
Bu haberi özel haber olarak yapan kişi de öyle zannediyorum ki bunun bedelini ağır ödeyecek. Öyle bırakmam onu.
RT's Luke Petrenko was in Istanbul just a couple of weeks ago, where he witnessed the media crackdown firsthand. He spoke to my colleague earlier, Neil Harvey, about his visit to the Cumhuriyet newsroom.
It was quite an experience going there, and I managed to get into the office just 12 hours after the arrests were made. And just looking at the faces of the people there, looking into their eyes, was enough to realize the state of anxiety the journalists in that office were in. And just to begin with, Cumhuriyet is one of the only news outlets in the country that are investigating anti-government accusations.
Were any of the journalists there actually, obviously they were under pressure, were there any of them willing to speak about this and what was going on there on camera?
Well, for obvious reasons, very few agreed to talk to us under the obvious circumstances. I remember starting a conversation with one journalist on camera, and then she just burst into tears and said that she didn't want to be a part of this. Journalists are extremely cautious about what emails or files they keep on their computers or even on USB drives, because they understand that the government can send teams at any time to sniff through the office or even carry out raids, which happened on several occasions.
I used the phrase media crackdown in the introduction to this story, and that's because it isn't just this one media organisation, is it? There's plenty of other journalists who are feeling under pressure.
We've tried keeping in touch with several news organizations that are known to have been looking into accusations of government involvement in some shady dealings, and just take a listen to what another editor-in-chief of another opposition online newspaper told me.
In Turkey, we as journalists can no longer investigate. People spread rumors, but we are not free to verify them.
So it's really a question of simply being able to do the job, but blowing the whistle in Turkey can lead to some very serious consequences.